The make or break model for Skoda in India, and a car designed with India specifically in mind. Yes, it is based on the Volkswagen Group's MQB A0 platform that spawns the likes of the Audi A1 and Volkswagen T-Cross globally. But it is a downgraded version of that, and on the first product, the Kushaq, that is evident. Yet this is a clever car that is packaged well enough to stand up to its rivals. It is well built, has a robust and tough design language, and looks premium. It is also loaded with a lot of goodies. What we showed you in our last review was the Skoda Kushaq 1.5 TSI with the DSG twin-clutch automatic gearbox. On that, you also have the option of a 6-speed manual. Today, we'll focus on the variant we expect will sell in much higher volume.
So this is a compact SUV. It'll take on the likes of the Creta and the Seltos. I have to say this carbon steel, as they call it, this grey color looks really nice. But in our comprehensive review that Ameya brought you, we've already showed you everything about this car. We've told you all about its features, its drivability, and of course all its styling as well. So why am I here again with the Kushaq? Well, the one thing we didn't cover in that review is how the 1-liter TSI motor behaves and performs. That is the engine under this hood right here, and so that is what I'm here to tell you.
In this video, we will also be giving you a lowdown on the gadgets and tech the Kushaq sports. It is Skoda's first connected car, don't forget. On to that 1-liter engine, first up. The engine is the familiar 3-cylinder motor that we have seen on the updated Rapid, Vento and Polo. It delivers a tad more power on the Kushaq though, 5 bhp more that is. The gearbox options are also the same as on those cars. The idea was to build the engines locally to get economies of scale and drive the cost competitiveness back into the model's pricing.
Within minutes of driving the car, you straight away get a sense of its build quality. It handles really well, and of course I'll talk more about that in a second. But you know, the part that surprises me is the steering. Now, I expected a Skoda to have a stiffer steering. I get that some of that's been done intentionally, keeping the Indian buyer in mind, since this car has been designed for India. But it takes away from some of its character, I feel. Even at higher speeds, it doesn't have that weighted feel that I think it should.
Yes, and that is where you start to understand how this is not a typical Skoda. It carries many of the brand's simply clever ideas, its design, and certainly its solid feel and build. But in other ways, the car shows up as being a for India model. The plastics, especially the large expanse of the dash below the windscreen, certainly doesn't feel up to the usual Skoda mark. Despite being shorter in length compared to its rivals, though, the roominess in the cabin is a plus thanks to a generous wheelbase, and especially in the rear seat, and so are its features.
At idle, well, that's the only time you really detect the little clatter from the 3-pot. But otherwise, I have to say the engineering team has done a great job in terms of just not letting you even once think that this is a 3-cylinder engine. Great level of engineering and refinement. Of course, having said that, there are times when it will show up, and the biggest for me is between about 1,000 and 2,000 RPM. That's where you feel a little hesitation. The turbo lag seems very evident. Some of that gets nicely sort of compensated by the automatic gearbox, I have to say, in terms of its gearing. But between second and third gear, you find that some of the gearing ratios, it's all been skewed towards fuel efficiency in my mind. And so as a result, you do need to manually downshift using the paddles, or just kind of wait for the car to catch up to the performance you're looking for. So that can be a little disconcerting, but otherwise, the level of refinement and performance that you get from this 1-liter engine is frankly pretty impressive.
Skoda has not shared mileage figures as yet, believe it or not, even though the car is launched already. The 1.0 brings in efficiencies though, so I am hopeful. And there is a reason why we are getting the 1 litre and the 6-speed auto or manual and not a DSG option on this car. Yes, price. The 1 litre's prices show a competitive range, but are they super attractive? Or killer prices, as we like to say in India? No, sir. It is good though to see a nice wide variant mix on this powertrain.
So the big takeaway for me from the Kushaq is the ride and the handling. I expected that to a certain extent, and I'm not surprised that it is class leading. The engine is fairly impressive. The 1 litre does a good job. The way it's been married to the transmission, yes, it could have been a little better, not as punchy as I like, but the gearbox, very refined. In fact, the stock converter has been a real surprise to me. It's very, very smooth. Now comes the kicker. If you buy the top-end style variant, which is the one I'm driving right now, with the automatic gearbox, which is the most expensive Kushaq variant you can buy, you don't get all the features. You don't get the 6 airbags. You don't get the tire pressure monitoring system, for instance. That's really odd because the manual has it, and the same holds true on the 1.5 as well. The most expensive variant is the automatic, doesn't get these. That's just odd. I mean, someone who's buying the top-end variant or is buying an automatic surely would want the 6 airbags too. So, okay, it's a cost consideration, but it's a really weird one.
So Skoda still has plenty to think about. Still, the Kushaq is a good start to the India 2.0 project. It shows the right intent and understanding of where the brand needs to be. But I will say this, for the car that you are getting, especially since it is a tad smaller to its rivals, I expected prices to be a tad more attractive.
So in many ways, you could say that the Kushaq is like a real successor to the Yeti because there wasn't really a model that fit that slot. In many ways, you can't say that. But either way, it is good to have it in the market now. I have gone into all the details on the 1 litre as promised. I also did promise to tell you about the tech. Well, it's not going to be me, it's going to be Sahil. And as he comes in, let me also tell you that everything you're seeing today on this review has been shot on a new phone. Yep, we're not using our regular cameras today. It's the new phone from Xiaomi. Sahil, I'm going to hand over the key. What phone are we shooting on?
The Mi 11 Ultra.
Okay, so cool phone, cool new car. What's your expectation on the Kushaq?
I'm just hoping for a little more features, more tech features. Build quality always has been Skoda's forte, and usually the engine is also good. So tech has been lacking, and I'm hoping this changes it.
Hopefully you won't be disappointed. Have fun.
Thank you. As Siddharth said, we are shooting on Xiaomi's Mi 11 Ultra, which has the largest camera sensor found in a smartphone in India, and has been rated by DxOMark, the French camera benchmarking experts, as having the best smartphone camera. Yes, even better than the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Ideal then to film the Kushaq, which really does have impressive tech on board. Alongside that fit and finish, they keep things really simple. You've got a pretty traditional instrument cluster out here. A techie like me may want something a little more digital out here, but it gets the job done. You get a 10-inch display for the infotainment system. Now this is a really nice screen. If you look at the blacks out here, they are really inky, almost like an OLED display. Don't find that often in cars of this price point, and generally the touch response is absolutely on point. It is really smooth to use, and you get all of these data points out here. For example, how you're driving the car, some apps that you can get, for instance Ghana.com. But if you're like me, you're going to be using Apple CarPlay, and you know what's great out here? This car supports wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. That is super cool. On top of that, you get 6 speakers. They sound really good. Now Skoda is not touting a audiophile grade brand like a Bose or a JBL or a Harman & Kardon, whatever. Basic Skoda audio out here, but Skodas have always given you good sound. If you remember some of the older Skodas, they always came with great speakers, and this is no different. You will not need to really pimp it up, for a lack of a better word, but if you do, it won't be because Skoda has given you something subpar. It would be because your needs are a little more advanced. It comes with Skoda's connected car platform. It works via an app called Skoda Connect, working in tandem with the Reliance Jio SIM inside the car. It enables rudimentary connected car features like geofencing or live tracking of the car's position. The app does not let you remotely unlock or start the car remotely like other telematics suites. Coming back to this infotainment display, it is also the home to the rear parking camera and the parking sensors, and that camera is also a really good one because you can see things really clearly, and this display obviously helps things. Aside from that, you get two USB Type-C ports out here on the top of the line 1 liter TSI model that I am testing right now. You get similar two USB Type-C ports even on the back seat. Say if you have just bought a brand new iPhone 12, you open the box, obviously the charging brick is not going to be there, but if the new cable is a Type-C to Lightning cable, it's not a traditional old USB Type-A. In fact, this is a trend with all new smartphones, and it's really important if the automakers catch up to that trend, and it's really nice to see Skoda really paying attention to that trend. On top of that, as you can see, I've got my iPhone out here charging wirelessly. Another great thing, wireless charging is here in this car and it works pretty well. Given how many people still use phones that need a Type-A port, at least one of those somewhere in the car would have been good. Overall, as far as tech goes, Skoda keeps things minimal but classy and has not skimped on quality. It offers great core functionality and also some surprises like multiple Type-C ports and wireless Android Auto and CarPlay. So even though its suite of tech features may not be as comprehensive as the competition, it scores well in our book.